For me, a bar signifies a place where people can be themselves, where nobody is judged, everyone can leave their problems and inhibitions at the door. Hi, my name is Priyanka Blah. I'm the founder and editor of a website called The Dramatic. The Dramatic features content across bars and spirits across the world with a highlight on cocktail culture. I am also a craft spirits consultant for brands that are looking to grow their global footprint. For me, it all started when I was exposed to the world of single malt whiskies by my father. Don't worry, I was of legal drinking age. So he was very fond of whiskies, and I got to try my first single malt whiskey with him, and I think I developed this love for fine spirits there. And what I did through my journey as a young, adult, I worked my way through college, of course, so I could afford to sample and try whiskies, save up a bit of money here and there, go to a bar and try a whiskey I haven't tried before. And I felt it was important for me to document that journey because I didn't want to forget about the experience that I had. So I started documenting it on a website or a blog, as you would call it then, thinking that that would be the best way to chronicle my experience with whiskies. This was around the time when I think blogging had just taken off as a thing. There was no Instagram at that point either, so it was the only way to record my memories. And I think one thing led to another, and as I started documenting my experience with different whiskies, people started reading it, started asking me more about whiskies and what they should try, where they should go, what they should pick up on their travels. And I think that's the moment I realized that there was an opportunity for me to actually share information and knowledge about a category that wasn't really being developed at that point. So yeah, I think that's where it all started. My entire career actually started with me doing a bunch of things. I started off working in college as a music journalist. I used to work for a bunch of publications that are pretty well known in the country. Also was part of the launch team of one of the international music publications that was launching in India. So music and writing were always the basis of my career in the beginning, with whiskey and cocktails as a hobby, right? But because I was writing about the hobby so much and became good at it, brands started taking notice, and then I would start getting called to events and to sort of cover their events or write about their menus or review their spirits, etc. So I think it was about 7-8 years into my other careers that I realized there was actually a place for me in this industry. I'm a very quiet person in general. I don't like to be the loudest person in the room. I don't think that in order to make a valuable point, you have to scream the loudest or be the biggest or the shiniest person in the room. I try to bring a certain sense of balance and a certain sense of resilience into what I do. So I think I first encountered MONIN and had a bottle in my hands in 2014 or 15. It was at one of the cocktail competitions by a global brand. It was an event in Bombay. A lot of the global team had come down, etc., etc. And until then, for me, it was just a brand I knew of but had never actually handled or worked with before. But at this competition, I saw the brand's flavors and syrups being used in so many beautiful, creative ways, and tried some of the drinks that I was actually quite surprised myself that one could recreate cocktails at home without the actual paraphernalia and without the actual elaborate setup. My most recent and memorable memory with MONIN was when I was there in December last year. I went actually to their headquarters in Bourges for the MONIN Cup finals. And why I found it to be memorable, apart from the competition itself and so many young bartenders and seeing how MONIN sort of really elevated them and brought them together, apart from that, I just enjoyed seeing how, as a brand, they had shaped pretty much the economy of that town. And everybody who lived in that little town had so much respect for the brand and the founders. It almost felt like it was the family that looked after that little town. And it was just such a nice feeling to see how the brand has so much history and connection with the people that, you know, sort of helped it come to life. So I think for me I've never actually experienced going to a brand's home where I got that feeling. So that was a really memorable experience for me. I'm always a backstage player. I like to stay in the background. I like to give that little nudge, and I like to tell the story. My goal, my aim is always to highlight what is going on in the region. By default, I become the person or the face that people recognize, which earlier used to make me quite uncomfortable, but I realized that that's the only way to actually get the story out there right now. But yeah, my main goal, and forever this is going to be my goal, is to be able to highlight the story of the region and just highlight great talent from the region, give them a voice. I love to see underdogs get the spotlight. So for me, that is always my goal. And hopefully 10 years from now, I'll see a lot of the people whose careers I'm following today actually take this seat and have this conversation with you instead.